Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith VAZ on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Points with me, Keith VAZ. Thank you for joining me today, Sunday the 24th of May 2020, which just happens to be Bob Dylan's birthday. My special guests today are two brothers who learned their trade from an inspirational father who sadly passed away earlier this year. The siblings control a newspaper and digital empire that reports on and shapes the British Asian community. Later, we will be hearing from a culinary expert, Poonam Ball, who will be giving us a recipe for a breakfast smoothie. So try and find a banana and some blueberries and of course a blender. And we will begin to love our feet with important advice from the foot magician Dhruv Jogia. So feet up and a foot file and some cream at the ready and await instructions. Rupal has helped us choose some of our songs today and has dedicated them to her husband Jag and her daughter Rupi. Please stay tuned.
Leica Radio.
My special guests today are, in fact, two guests. They are an almost inseparable pair of brothers, the scions of a media dynasty that has kept the British Asian community informed, entertained and challenged through their company, the Asian Media Group, that now operates in 3 different continents. Their annual business and other award ceremonies are must-go events, attended by owners of convenience stores and occupants of Number 10. Whether they're seeking to take the British Asian community into the mainstream or vice versa is a question that I will put to the Solanki brothers. Good morning, KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki.
Good morning, Keith. Good morning.
Now, this has been a tough year for the whole family because the man who founded the dynasty, who started the whole newspaper business for the family, sadly passed away. That was your dad, Ramnik Lal Solanki. KALPESH, what were your greatest memories of your dad? I mean, there must be many, many memories over the years because you lived with him in Wembley, but what do you remember most about him?
My father was a great role model, and he personified the ideal, what an ideal father should be. So he allowed me to learn, he held my hand, allowed me to make mistakes, and gave me immense love. He gave all of us immense love and treated all the children equally, although probably I might have been his favourite. So he would obviously have his point of view. But
Shailesh, you probably want to challenge that. What do you remember most about your dad? I mean, is there a particular thing that he liked to do? Did he go for evening walks? Was he that kind of person? Because he seemed like a workaholic to have created what is now such a huge media empire.
He was a workaholic. He just loved what he did, and that was the essence of it. He said work was worship, and he just loved journalism and writing. Writing was what he enjoyed doing, even at weekends. So he never considered it to be work. And for us, he was always, he's an enormous figure in our lives, and he does leave a huge void. But above all, everything, he was a loving and selfless father, and his family was everything to him. Everything he did was for his family and his work. And to us, he was a mentor, he was a friend, and a guide in life.
And you'll almost miss him enormously, as does the community, for the work that he has done. But he, of course, introduced you, KALPESH, to the newspaper industry. There's a story that goes around that at the age of only 5, you, Shailesh must have been 1 by then, were made to pack up these newspapers and hand deliver them around Wembley. Is there any truth in that, or was it a more leisurely introduction to newspapers?
Shailesh and I into the newspaper world is not as glamorous as it really sounds, but because my father started publishing from home, my parents, my mum as well, they would bring the printed versions of Garib Gujarat home, and we would just get stuck in and help to fold the papers, put sellotape on to send copies to subscribers. And it was very easy to get into the business, but it was a learning curve for us, and publishing just was something that was very natural to us.
And Shailesh, you didn't want to be a journalist initially. You went, like KALPESH did, to university, having gone to school at Wembley High, so you're a local boy made good. Yeah. What made you stay in London? Because most kids of the age that you go to university tend to want to go far away from their families to other parts of the country, but you stayed right in the middle in Gower Street. You read economics, you got a BSc from University College London. What made you take that particular course? Were you always going to go into business?
I did economics because it was a good general degree to do, and that was my father's advice. But I always wanted to go into journalism from the age of 6 or 7. I've always wanted to be a journalist, just obviously inspired by seeing my father work and just seeing the buzz he gets from working on stories, and just a passion for journalism came from him. So he said that economics is a good general degree to do. In those days, they didn't advise you to read journalism at university. It's always good to have a degree in other interests before you go into journalism. So, and London was because it's a good university, and I wanted to stay within London because there's so much happening there. So I really did enjoy my time at UCL.
And you, Kalpesh, you stayed on the district line. You went to Queen Mary College London, where you read law, and then qualified as a barrister from the Inner Temple. So were you going down the traditional route of either being a doctor or a lawyer before you decided to go into journalism?
Yes, well, my father, he studied both economics, and his second degree was law, so he did LLB. And so just the way it turned out, Shailesh did one of those degrees, economics, and I did the other degree. There was no planning on that, but law, I took an interest in law from quite a young age. And then, because I read a lot about Mahatma Gandhi, I was quite inspired by his story and wanted to become a barrister like he did. And I joined Inner Temple because that's where Mahatma Gandhi had become a barrister. And then how I got into the business is those of you that know my father, he's a very, very strong and determined personality. So after qualifying as a barrister, he sat me down, had a shotgun on his lap, and he said, "Look, son, here are your options." And the rest is history.
The rest is history. We'll come on to that history in a few moments. Go into the break with one of your dad's favourite songs, and then we're going to come back to talk about the newspaper world. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to Kalpesh and SHAILESH Solanki.
Leica Radio.
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio 1458. My very special guests are the Solanki brothers. KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki are media moguls. We are talking about their life. We've now got them into the family business, one with a shotgun on the table, the other very willing to become a journalist. Tell me, SHAILESH, how did you divide the responsibilities in those early days? Not now. Now, of course, it's much clearer because the empire is much bigger. But in those days when you had one title and three of you, presumably going by car together from Wembley to South London, how were you able to decide what everyone was going to do?
I just did all the work and KALPESH drove around in a luxury sports car.
But you had one newspaper then, you just had Garvi Gujarat. Was that the English version or was it still the Gujarati version?
Bilingual. Garvi Gujarat was bilingual. So it started in 1968, as you know. It started as a fortnightly, then turned weekly. And the paper just grew in stature over the years because of my dad's writing ability, really. It's just, his commitment was always to good quality content. And that's the reader was always first and foremost in his mind. And everything came from that. And that's what he's instilled in both of us in terms of how the business has expanded, because we just start from the reader and then move outwards from that.
But KALPESH, original newspaper, being bilingual, did you feel as the young, modern, thrusting law student, qualified barrister, that actually it had to appeal to more than your father's generation? And how did you move the paper on at that very early stage?
Yes, I think when I joined after qualifying as a barrister, I had a massive chip on my shoulder because my father asked me to sell advertising. So I was actually selling classified advertising for a few quid while most of my friends were going off to practice law. But my father's foresight was immense, and I, at the time, didn't enjoy getting into selling, but today when I look back at it, it was hugely beneficial and a very, very good experience for me. And when my father started Garvi Gujarat, he was a pioneer. There weren't other template to follow. He was asked by the Indian High Commissioner to consider publishing something to serve the growing number of Asians coming into the UK. And what we realized is actually people were really engaged in reading about what my father wrote. And it was nothing about anything else for my father, nothing about money. It was just about what is good for his reader and how he gives a voice to those readers. And so what we've tried to do is to just emulate that. So the starting point for us has always been what's in the interest of our readers. And SHAILESH and I have naturally just fallen into the roles where I've taken on more of a commercial role and he's taken on more of a content role. And as the business has grown, we've had teams that work on the separate, the various assets that we have. But our interest in the community has never frayed, and we've always stayed true, or we try to stay true to what our father started. And we talk about my father, but my mother, she has been just as influential as my father, but because she's in the background, she isn't talked about as much as my father.
SHAILESH, do you think that there is still that great affection for news in India? Because a lot of the paper, certainly the Gujarati version, as opposed to Eastern Eye and your new stable of publications, that has a lot of news about India. And some of the criticisms that have been made, perhaps, is that we talk too much about India and we don't talk enough about the politics of this country. Is that why you acquired Eastern Eye and put so much effort into the English version?
Well, we acquired Eastern Eye because it was a good newspaper and had a good readership amongst the Asian community, and we didn't have an English language weekly newspaper, so it was a good fit for our portfolio. But Garvi Gujarat has always actually struck a balance in terms of its coverage from the Indian subcontinent and British Asian news. And what sets us apart from other titles is that we do invest in good quality journalism, and we actually subscribe to most of the major wire services, picture services. The content, as we've been saying, is king, but there's always a balance. So throughout this COVID crisis in the last 6-7 weeks, we've always led with what's happening in the UK, because we do understand that the British Asian community live here and they need to understand what's going on in the UK. But having said that, there is still an interest of what's happening in the Indian subcontinent because they still have strong roots and family connections there, and they always travel there. Most of them travel once a year or so. So it's a balance to be struck, and obviously our editors will take a view each week as to what story goes in the balance of the paper each week.
But in terms of Indian politics, I mean, you're a Gujaratis, it's primarily a Gujarati paper, obviously it's called Garvi Gujarat. In the politics of India, you're a Modi as opposed to anyone else. That's true, isn't it? It's not just because you'll know him personally, but the paper is an editorial policy.
The editorial tries to take a much more of a neutral stance, but Prime Minister Modi knew my father very well, and he's always spoke to him and called him out. I had many meetings with him, and when my father passed away, Prime Minister Modi wrote a very nice personal letter about my father. But we try not to bring the subcontinent politics into the UK. What we try to do is to keep the public informed, and we're not Indian-centric. We recognize that a large number of Asians here are from Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and to a certain extent we've also started to incorporate news from Nepal as well. And our goal has always been to actually inform the British Asian community and engage with them and bring people together. So we don't try to be divisive at all, and that's not something that we've grown up learning. So our whole ethos is very different, and we try to present news as it happens, and very good quality news, so people can actually trust what they read in our publications.
We're going to take another short break. When we get back, we're going to be talking to KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki about the other things that the newspapers do, the events and the other parts of their media stable. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Please stay tuned.
Why take a risk to go out for banking when you can do all your banking with Yono SBI UK mobile app?
And now you can open an account without going to the bank. SBI UK allows you to open an instant access savings account online from your home. You can have an international debit card even, and 0.5% interest on your balance.
Visit sbiuk.statebank to open an account online.
SBI UK, a bank that takes care of you and your savings too.
Stay safe, stay at home, bank with SBI UK. Dairy Valley wishing you all Eid Mubarak. Dairy Valley adding sweetness to your celebration. Gulab Jamun, Rasmalai, Rasgulla, Barfi, Kaju, Katli and milk cake.
Leica Phone Shop launching the new Rocket IO3D. The Rocket IO3D smartphone from only £2 per month with free Rocket Buds worth over £44.99. Save over £70 with this deal. Includes 12 months unlimited free calls to mobiles and landlines in the UK and over 60 countries worldwide. With value-added service providing 48-hour broken phone replacement and more. All product available to purchase via flexible payment options by Klarna Finance. For more amazing offers, visit eshop.leicamobile.co.uk. This introductory offer ends on 31st of May. T's and C's apply.
ईस्ट लंदन में रहने वालों के लिए खुशखबरी, आपके जाने माने तारिक हलाल की 16th ब्रांच अब फॉरेस्ट गेट लंदन में 11 वुड ग्रेंज रोड फॉरेस्ट गेट में आज ही तशरीफ लाइए. हाई क्वालिटी फ्रेश पोल्ट्री, बीफ, लैम और मटन नाउ एट योर डोर स्टेप इन ईस्ट लंदन. TariqHalal.com. There is only one.
मुबारक ईद मुबारक.
तारिक शेख और TariqHalal.com की जानिब से दिली ईद मुबारक. तारिक हलाल अपने 16 स्टोर्स ऑनलाइन और सिलेक्टेड सेंसबरीज के तवस्सुत से इस आजमाइश के दौर में भी आपकी खिदमत कर रहे हैं. TariqHalal.com. There is only one.
मुबारक ईद मुबारक.
Do you have enough life insurance? Get life insurance from just £7.19 a month for £200,000 cover over a level term of 20 years. Call Major Estates on 0208 424 8686 for your free no-obligation life insurance quote. The example illustration is based on a typical male non-smoker, age 30. Terms apply. Major Estates 0208 424 8686.
Mubarak Eid Mubarak.
Pooja Sweets wishes everyone Eid Mubarak.
In these difficult times, many businesses are still very much open for business and still need to communicate with their customers. Radio can help. Right now, it's playing an even bigger role, keeping people in the UK informed and entertained. And the latest technology means that even with social distancing, radio ads can still be made and broadcast safely. Radio, business as usual, even when it's not business as usual. See radio differently at radiocentre.org.
Call Leica Media Sales Team today on 0207 132 1458. That's Leica Media Sales Team on 0207 132 1458.
Leica Radio. Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to my very special guests, the Solanki brothers, KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki. SHAILESH, from the initial single newspaper, the single title, you went on to publish a number of others. Pharmacy Business, The Asian Traders. What are the other titles that you have in your portfolio?
So Asian Trader, Pharmacy Business, then we do The Rich List, The Power List. We do Asian Hospitality in the US as well. But the idea of Asian Trader really came about through the success of Garvi Gujarat. So our ethos has just been always for following the success of the Asian community. So as they went into the retail sector, convenience stores and corner shops, there was a need for manufacturers to communicate with this sector, and there was also some discrimination going on within the sector as well. So we were approached to launch a publication. This was back in 1985. I was still at university, but my father launched it with my brother KALPESH and my mother, and it was launched in November 1985.
KALPESH, what's interesting about these events? Obviously, the papers have their own life, and not everyone would see every publication that comes out. But the events in particular was something new for the community, that a newspaper should be putting on these events. And the numbers who come to these events are now, you fill a hall, don't you? You get 1,000 people there. What's interesting is the fact that you don't just have members of the Asian community. You've got the mainstream businesses there as well, some of the biggest companies in the United Kingdom, if not the world. How did you manage to get the people from Mars or Walkers to come to your events?
So we've had an interest in events from very beginning. In the early days, my father had organized an event with the IJA, the Indian Journalists Association, I think to facilitate the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, and he was always keen on in hosting events and bringing people together. So the very first event we hosted in 1988 with the Asian Trader Awards, which my father wanted to bring suppliers, wholesalers and retailers together and celebrate their success. And I think it's always important that the written word is one thing, but then bringing people together, it's the same thing as engaging with people, but then recognizing the good things that people do and then holding them as peers so others can follow suit. And also, there are lots of issues and we can always keep criticizing and getting people to understand there are lots of issues, but when they're face to face, they can be easily resolved and people can see what great work that retailers are doing in the food and drink sector.
Shailesh, you're the executive editor of the Asian Rich List and the Power List. What was the point and purpose of producing these lists? We've got the Sunday Times Rich List, of course, where there are members of the Asian community on there. Suddenly you have the Rich List, and there are only Asians in the Asian Rich List. Why did you create these two lists, both the Rich List and the Power List?
So it's really about celebrating the success of the Asian community in all areas of British life, and we're renowned for our success in business, so it makes sense to recognise that success. And we're very different from the Sunday Times in that it's not just about putting a number to their wealth, which we do. We take great pains to actually try and get an accurate figure, but we actually tell their stories. It's the stories of how these entrepreneurs who came to this country with absolutely nothing and have created huge business empires, creating employment and paying taxes. So it's to show the Asian community's contribution to the UK, to celebrate their success. We had this debate a few years ago about the value of immigrants to this country. I think our lists show that, and the Power List is very different from the Rich List. What we're looking at is power and influence within British society, and although we do have some business people on the list, it's a list of those people in different sectors. So you've got politicians, you've got media personalities, you've got law, scientists, medics, so everyone that makes a contribution to the UK. And we have criteria in terms of how we judge this, but it's about making a positive contribution to British society.
And when you have politicians on that list, for example, when you have them at number one, some people may feel it's a bit of a kiss of death, because I think in a couple of cases, present company included, they end up tumbling down quite fast after they reach number one.
Well, I think you can look at it like that, but also I think we recognize what's happening in society, and I think our claim to fame was when Keith VAZ was the most powerful and influential Asian in Britain.
Those were the days. We thought they'd never end. Anyway, on that note, we're going to take our final break. We're going to come back and talk to the Solanki brothers about the future of the Asian community, whether we are in a position to really be established here, and other interesting issues of that kind. We might even touch on Chelsea Football Club and see whether they think that the Premier League should be resumed as people plan on the 1st of June. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 talking to KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki.
Leica Radio.
उसको मैं दे दूं दिल और तुझको दे दूं हार्ट अटैक बेबी नच्ची 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 जा तू नच्ची 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 जा तू नच्ची 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 जा तू shake 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 it like me shake 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 shake
careless carefree baby नाच रही है कल्ली डीजे वाले की जान खा रखी है भाई है ये चल्ली क्या क्या गटक रही है भाई तेरे समझ से है ये पार पागल करे जा रही है लंदन की गली गली जैसे नाच रही है लगता है फ्लोर तोड़ के मानेगी सारे कोरियोग्राफरों को ये निचोड़ के मानेगी मेरी बात तो करवाओ इसको पास मेरे ले आओ ये तो तुमको से ही मेरे दिल को फोड़ के मानेगी बेबी नच्ची 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 जादू 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 ओ बल्ले बल्ले मैं अजता फ्लोर पटेरा
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
This is Leica Radio.
Leica Radio.
Leica Radio. Travel update.
I'm Paula Brett. Tower Hill westbound is partially blocked by a burst water main. That's at Minories. The local buses have been put on diversion. In Blackwall, Aspen Way westbound has 2 lanes closed for emergency repairs. That's between Preston's Road and Upper Bank Street. Plaistow and Greengate Street is closed in both directions for repairs from Barking Road to Plaistow Park. That closure then continues along Barking Road eastbound from Prince Regent Lane to Tunmarsh Lane. On to the trains, and because of engineering works today, there's no service for London Overground between Highbury and Islington and New Cross, or at Clapham Junction, Crystal Palace and West Croydon. C2C services are not running in and out of Liverpool Street today. Those services will be diverted to and from Fenchurch Street and call additionally at West Ham, and no service for Greater Anglia between Tottenham Hale and Stratford. And that's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
This is Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki, our media moguls, about their life and their thoughts about the future of the Asian community. And let's move on to that. One of the highlights of your dinners every year, KALPESH, is your speech that you give, decrying the fact that the Asian community have not reached the top of society. When you look at the current cabinet and you find that the Chancellor happens to be of Asian origin, and the Business Secretary is of Asian origin, and the Attorney Generals of Asian origin, and there's a Patel at the Home Office, do you think at last everything that you've said in your speeches has come to pass and we can now stop?
Well, I think when we first started the G2 Leadership and Diversity Award and started our power list, we're talking about over 20 years ago, when the visibility of the Asian community in politics wasn't there. And very proud the fact that we've been pushing this, and that we see now that with Rishi Sunak and some of the others in cabinet, that the Asian community has done very well in politics. But the intention isn't just to get Asians into politics. The intention is that we as a community, we need our voice heard, and we need a seat at the top table. So the work doesn't actually stop, because we're looking at the whole of society. We're looking at what is actually holding the Asian community back in business. How many directors do we see from the Asian community sitting on the FTSE top 100 companies? How many do we see within the NHS that are promoted? And we've seen reports that actually the Asians don't get the same amount of opportunities. Look at the legal profession, you look at the armed forces, you look at the police. Everything still needs work, but
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki, our media moguls, about their life and their thoughts about the future of the Asian community. And let's move on to that. One of the highlights of your dinners every year, KALPESH, is your speech that you give, decrying the fact that the Asian community have not reached the top of society. When you look at the current cabinet and you find that the Chancellor happens to be of Asian origin and the Business Secretary is of Asian origin and the Attorney General's of Asian origin, and there's a Patel at the Home Office, do you think at last everything that you've said in your speeches has come to pass and we can now stop?
Well, I think when we first started the G2 Leadership and Diversity Award and started our power list, we're talking about over 20 years ago, when the visibility of the Asian community in politics wasn't there. And very proud of the fact that we've been pushing this, and that we see now that with Rishi Sunak and some of the others in cabinet, that the Asian community has done very well in politics. But the intention isn't just to get Asians into politics. The intention is that we as a community, we need our voice heard, and we need a seat at the top table. So the work doesn't actually stop, because we're looking at the whole of society. We're looking at what is actually holding the Asian community back in business. How many directors do we see from the Asian community sitting on the FTSE top 100 companies? How many do we see within the NHS that are promoted? And we've seen reports that actually the Asians don't get the same amount of opportunities. Look at the legal profession, you look at the armed forces, you look at the police. Everything still needs work, but progress is being made, and that's why we're very proud of our contribution through our Leadership and Diversity Awards, that we're having a degree of success.
SHAILESH, you run the operation in Atlanta, Georgia, so you make frequent trips over to America. In America, the Asian business community is so much more powerful than it is in our country. They are much, much more visible, and they don't tend to shy away from public life, do they? Do you sense that there is a difference in the way in which the community is developed in America and in the United Kingdom?
I think it's at different stages of the immigrant story, really, because in America you have two sets of different immigrants. You've got the professionals that went there first, then you've got others that went there as blue-collar workers, and they're very successful in terms of the domination of convenience sector, the motel sector in the US. 50% of all motels in the US are owned by the Indian community. Wherever the Indian community tend to go, they're very, very successful. Politics is, I think, further down the road. Now, we are seeing some American Indians going into politics. I think
So there's Nikki Haley.
There's Nikki Haley. There's Kamala Harris, who stood as a presidential candidate. And there's some representatives as well, in the lower house. But it's a process, and I think we will get there. But the process also is always to focus on your business and have economic success first, and then branch out into politics. You've got a huge number of Indian doctors there who are kind of rising through. So we will get that progress, but America is far behind in terms of political representation, I agree. But I think it will change in 10 years or so, because you've got this second and third generation who are very well educated and very eloquent, as we have here.
KALPESH.
Success of our community is also reflected in then ethnic communities going into arts and culture. And we're very proud of some of the big names that we have that we see every day on TV, not only on news, but also in terms of the drama series and into comedy. And that, I think, is the success of our community. And we reflect and recognize some of that success through the Eastern Eye Art, Culture and Theatre Awards that we've been hosting for several years now, because the people from the creative industries, they don't really get recognized in the mainstream awards. We need to do something to actually recognize the contribution of the creative arts.
We certainly do. Now, you're a big family. You'll work together. You'll play together. You'll are out together on a Sunday afternoon. When you have your gathering in Wembley, KALPESH, who would be there, apart from your mum, of course? Which members of your family would be present, and how many are involved in the business?
So my mum, Parvati Ben, she now makes sure that all of us come together. My wife, Rishmita, my two sons, Aditya and Jamin, and my daughter, Shifali, they're all here as part of the family. They work in the business doing various roles. And then my sister, Sadhna, and her husband, Ravi, and her kids, Kashyap, Janvi, and Vyoma, they all try to join in. And my son's married, so his wife, Nikita, she's a dentist. There's quite a lot of us then get together. And SHAILESH's family will join us as well.
SHAILESH, who will you bring along to the gathering?
So it'll be my wife, Sheila, and my three children, Palomi, Shamal, and Krishna. So Palomi and Shamal don't currently work in the business, they're working elsewhere. Palomi is a policy advisor at DCMS, and Shamal is on the graduate scheme at Sky Television, and my youngest son is at university studying engineering.
And on a Saturday afternoon when the season's on, you both be sitting next to each other watching Chelsea play, and I assume you both want to see the table stay as it is, because it means that Chelsea will qualify for Europe.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, we'd be very happy with Chelsea qualifying for Europe. I think our season has been picking up. Unfortunately, it came to a grinding halt prematurely.
It did. Well, unfortunately, we're going to come to a grinding halt because we've come to the end of our time. But thank you very much, KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki. It's been fascinating, not just hearing about the influence that your dad had on you, but also your dreams and aspirations for the future. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Leica Radio 1458.
Thank you.
Leica Radio.
This is an emergency appeal on behalf of the British Asian Trust. Tens of millions of families across South Asia are facing life or death situations because of COVID-19. Coronavirus has changed all of our lives. The royal founding patron of the British Asian Trust, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, has launched the Trust's appeal, which shows that in South Asia, the crisis is becoming a catastrophe for families. Please donate £10 to this appeal by texting 10TRUST to 70470. Texts cost £10 plus your standard rate message. Help us to save lives and save communities.
Leica.
This is Leica Radio.
चलते 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 यूं ही कोई मिल गया था यूं ही कोई मिल गया था सरे राह चलते चलते सरे राह चलते चलते वही थमके रह गई है वही थमके रह गई है मेरी रात ढलते ढलते मेरी रात ढलते ढलते फसाना बन गई है कि फसाना बन गई है मेरी बात चलते चलते मेरी बात चलते चलते यूं ही कोई मिल गया था यूं ही कोई मिल गया था सरे राह चलते चलते सरे राह चलते चलते यूं ही कोई मिल गया था सरे राह चलते 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 सरे राह चलते 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 यूं ही कोई मिल गया था यूं ही कोई मिल गया था
All about the music.
All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
मेरे पापा को गुलाब जामुन बहुत पसंद है
Order online at pujasweets.com. From barfi, laddus, gulab jamun to samosa and gathia. From catering starters to dessert. Puja Sweets and Savories. Abhi call kijiye 0208 672 4523 par.
Leica Phone Shop launching the new Rocket IO 3D. The Rocket IO Pro 3D smartphone from only £4 per month with free Rocket Buds worth over £44.99. Save over £180 with this deal. Includes 12 months unlimited free calls to mobiles and landlines in the UK and over 60 countries worldwide, with value-added service providing 48-hour broken phone replacement and more. All product available to purchase via flexible payment options by Klarna Finance. For more amazing offers, visit eshop.leica.mobile.co.uk. This introductory offer ends on 31st of May. T's and C's apply.
Dairy Valley wishing you all Eid Mubarak. Dairy Valley adding sweetness to your celebration. Gulab Jamun, Rasmalai, Rasgulla, Barfi, Kaju, Katli and milk cake.
अरे वहाँ क्या हुआ है?
लगता है पड़ोस में चोरी हुई है।
भगवान करे हमारे साथ ऐसा ना हो।
परेशान ना हो। मिस्टर मल्होत्रा से नीलकंठ सेफ डिपॉजिट के बारे में सुना था। कल ही जाते हैं।
नीलकंठ सेफ डिपॉजिट करे आपकी कीमती चीजों की हिफाजत। FCA regulated 24/7 proven trust and integrity. नीलकंठ सेफ डिपॉजिट at 2 Beaconsfield Road, South Hall, UB1 1BA. Call 020-8843-9920 and now open in Croydon at Brighton Road. Call 020-870-28888.
Finding the best rates to send money to your family and friends has never been this easy. Visit likeremit.co.uk and register today. Leica Remit is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. T's and C's apply.
ईस्ट लंदन में रहने वालों के लिए खुशखबरी। आपके जाने माने तारिक हलाल की 16th ब्रांच अब फॉरेस्ट गेट लंदन में 11 वुड ग्रेंज रोड फॉरेस्ट गेट में आज ही तशरीफ लाइए। हाई क्वालिटी फ्रेश पोल्ट्री, बीफ, लैम और मटन नाउ एट योर डोर स्टेप इन ईस्ट लंदन। tarikhalal.com. There is only one.
Are you talkative and witty? Are you up to date with what's going around in life? Then we need you to entertain the whole of London through radio. Leica Media is looking for presenters for Leica Radio 1458 and Dilse 1035. Send your CV with your voice demo to Rupi, that's RUPI, at leicaradio.com.
Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Talking Points with me, Keith Vaz, on Leica Radio 1458. Let's talk feet and food. Feet first. Did you know that nearly a quarter of all the bones in our body are actually in our feet? Here to help us love our feet is Dhruv Jogia, who I call the foot magician because he's such a brilliant podiatrist. He's joining us this morning from St Albans. Good morning, Dhruv.
Good morning, sir.
Now, tell us, what can we do to keep our feet healthy during lockdown?
The first thing we can do to keep our feet healthy is to keep moving. Protect our feet by wearing appropriate footwear, checking your feet daily, washing them daily, and making sure there's no problems with the feet that we haven't noticed earlier. Checking the length of your nails, any hard skin, and looking for any infection. Usually, generally, people will be all right with things. People with complex medical histories like having diabetes or being on warfarin or having less sensation, something what we call peripheral neuropathy, are at slightly higher risk of having more complications. So if everybody sort of pretends that they have these things, then they'll be more than safe and they'll be taking very good care.
Now, of course, in the current climate, we can't go out and get our toenails cut. So a lot of people are, in some cases, hacking at their toenails because they're not very good at doing this. And I've done it myself in the past and ended up kind of nicking the end of the little toe. What's the best way to cut your toenails?
The best way to cut your toenails in the current climate is using a safe nail cutter and cutting them nice and straight and filing them nice and smooth. However, there's probably other safer ways to do it, particularly if you're on medication like warfarin, which would mean that if you do nick yourself, like you have, then you'd cut a lot more and it wouldn't heal as quick. So chances of infection. The goal of having appropriate nail cutting is that you cut them properly so they don't get an ingrowing toenail and they're comfortable. Secondly is preventing all types of nicking, cutting, which lead to things like infection, which I'm pretty sure nobody really wants.
And if you were looking for a top tip, just one tip as to how to look after your feet in the current situation, we know, because I said this at the beginning of the programme, we've got our foot files with us and we've got our pot of cream. Exactly what do we do with these two pieces of equipment?
So I won't give you one tip. It's buy one, get one free, COVID offer. I'll give you two tips. One is with the foot file and one is with the cream. First thing, after you've washed your feet, no need to soak. I generally don't ask my patients to soak their feet. It breaks the skin down if left for too long and leads to other fungal type infections. So generally, wash your feet and actually file the nail down rather than cutting them. Now, we cut our nails probably every 6 to 8 weeks, roughly. If you file them once a week in a nice way, they'll be nice and smooth and actually reduces the need for you to actually cut the nail itself. I have many patients, self-managed, who are high risk and really are capable enough to do this a lot easier. You can get down to feet. Once you've done that, you can apply cream all over your feet, but top tip, don't put cream in between the toenails. It's like soaking your feet in water. It softens the skin too much, it hydrates it too much, and it breaks the skin down, and that can lead to fungal infections and bacterial infections. It's something really what we don't want.
Well, that's something for us to certainly listen to and follow as closely as possible. How are you coping with lockdown, Dhruv? You're a bit of a party boy, so it must be quite difficult for you to not be able to go to the bars of St Albans.
Everything sort of closed down. I'm very well. I'm making the most of the lockdown and keeping positive, eating very healthy, going for my regular walk. The essential part of keeping your feet healthy is that you can keep active. Now, your feet are not separate to your body. Your feet are connected to the rest of your body and actually are indicators of how good your cardiovascular health is. If you're diabetic and you're at cardiovascular risk and you've got respiratory issues and things like that, walk and high blood pressure and stress and anxiety, mental health is a big thing. Walking helps a lot. Wearing trainers, going for a walk, just like I do, is very helpful. If you are okay to do so, please obviously be very cautious. These are things that
Dhruv Jogia, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fascinating talking to you. Obviously, the feet getting very jealous of the hands, everyone telling us to wash our hands a lot. So I thought we should give a bit of attention to the feet, otherwise they'll, get upset. But thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we will be talking to you again.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Leica Radio.
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Leica Radio.
I'm working with Tilda Basmati rice to share my healthy tips. Whether together or apart, celebrate Ramadan the Tildalicious way. Join me, Azmina Gavinji, consultant nutritionist to Tilda, every Friday during Ramadan on the Ruby Raza show between 1 and 2 p.m. I'll be sharing mouth-watering recipe ideas and nutritious meal tips that will help keep you healthy during the lockdown. On behalf of Tilda, we wish everyone Ramadan Mubarak. Stay home and stay safe.
At Morrison's this Eid, get Lazat roasted vermicelli, 3 packs for £1, and a 10 kilogram bag of Rosanna rice for £11. Morrison's. Majority of stores while stocks last. Online varies. Vermicelli 150 grams. When it's gone. Rice 10 kilograms.
During this pandemic, gold prices are at a record high. हम आपको गोल्ड के बदले कैश दिलाते हैं. For your best rates for your gold, call Southall के most trusted Wasim Jewelers. 0208 571 1193. wasimjewelers.co.uk.
Insure your device from as little as 14p per day with Leica Insure. We protect the little things that matter a lot. Get 2 months free cover when you buy 12 months policy. Visit leicainsure.com or call toll free on 0330 132 34 34. We also offer a gadget recycling service. Sell your gadgets in 3 easy steps. Search for your offers. Visit leicainsure.com. Leica Insure services are supplied by Mobiles and Gadgets. A trading name of QTM is authorised and regulated by the Finance Conduct Authority. 786619.
ईस्ट लंदन में रहने वालों के लिए खुशखबरी आपके जाने माने तारिक हलाल की 16th ब्रांच अब फॉरेस्ट गेट लंदन में 11 वुड ग्रेंज रोड फॉरेस्ट गेट में आज ही तशरीफ लाइए हाई क्वालिटी फ्रेश पोल्ट्री बीफ लैम और मटन नाउ एट योर डोर स्टेप इन ईस्ट लंदन tarikhalal.com. There is only one.
This is important information from the government about getting tested for coronavirus. You will be able to have a test if you have symptoms and you fall into any of the following categories. Essential workers doing vital jobs to keep the country going. People whose work can't be done from home, for example, construction workers or delivery drivers. And people aged 65 and over. If you are in any of these groups and anyone else in your household has symptoms, they can also get tested. To find out how to get a test, go to gov.uk/coronavirus. Stay alert. Control the virus. save lives.
Leica Radio.
Tune in to Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio every Sunday from 9 a.m. with high-profile guests talking about politics, current affairs and, of course, much more.
Leica Radio.
Mubarak Eid Mubarak. Tildalicious wishes everyone Eid Mubarak.
Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Finally, let's talk food and drink. We are what we eat, a phrase coined in 1826 by the French author Savarin, who wrote, and I quote, and I'll do this in English, not in French, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are." Now, joining me from Twickenham, South London, is the famous creative chef of Madhu's, Poonam Ball. Born in Nairobi, Kenya, she has got her cookery show on YouTube. You can follow her recipes on there. She's going to help us with eating and drinking during lockdown. Please have a banana and some fresh blueberries ready. Good morning, Poonam.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
Good. Poonam, tell us, how did you get involved in professional cuisine?
As you know, I'm part of VAZ. We've been going now for 40 years, so I'm the third generation caterers in this trade. So it's actually in my blood, in my DNA, as so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I used to do other things in the office, mainly the sales and marketing. And if the chefs weren't getting mum and dad's recipe quite spot on, my Sanjay would say to me, "Look, go downstairs and just tell them what to do." And it just snowballed from there. I just felt that I was in the kitchen more and more, and I ended up literally taking over all like the bespoke menus and menus where people wanted something really different. Then I'd come in and write their menus and teach the chef. Just basically takes on our forefathers' recipes, which we've grown up with.
Okay. So, Poonam, what's the best food to eat during lockdown? Or should I say, what's the healthiest food?
Well, during this lockdown, we're going to have amazing weather. As you know, we've had amazing weather this week. So barbecues are brilliant. You need to keep your vitamin D, vitamin C and zinc levels up. And the best way to do that is have your protein. And for meat eaters, you can get your protein from barbecuing meat, which is great. And you can spice up that meat. For vegetarians, you can do that with cauliflower steaks. And you can spice up cauliflower steaks and have them. And to actually increase all your vitamins, you should have a whole variety of fruits and veg, and that doesn't mean you need to separate them. I use a lot of fruits in my salads just to make them look a lot more appealing, and I mean things like blackberries are amazing because they give you that tautness in a salad, and it provides lovely texture as well. So use that, and use this time. We've got all this time now. Use all your fresh herbs, your mints and your sour mangoes to make lovely chutneys, lovely ripe tomatoes. Mix them in with some fresh garlic and red chili. Also green chili is amazing because it's full of vitamin C. Use these kind of things to boost up your immunity and eat healthily and eat great while it's in lockdown. Why compromise on taste?
Now, you're going to help us with the Poonam smoothie. We've all come ready with our bananas and fresh blueberries, as I reminded people at the start of the show. So tell us what we have to do with these two ingredients, and let's have a taste.
Okay, well, simply just use one of your blenders. Any blender will do. You just add some yogurt and just some frozen blueberry and say a small banana or half a banana, and you just whiz that up. I'm going to whiz it up now. And that's done. I'll just pour it into a glass.
What colour does it turn out, blueberries and bananas?
It's a nice, vibrant purple colour with the blueberries. And
what does it
because
taste
I've
like?
used a banana, I've used no sugar, and it tastes absolutely scrumptious. And those blueberries are delicious, and they're excellent for keeping your blood sugar level down during the day.
Well, that sounds very good. So that Poonam smoothie, we will put the recipe, if that's okay with you, onto our website where you can follow what to do. But thank you very much. Finally, Poonam, how are you coping with lockdown? What's life like with the kids?
Keith, they're driving me insane. I want somebody to come and take them away. Both Justin and Sargent are just absolutely too much. You would think, they're not little toddlers now, but it's just really hard trying to keep them occupied and keep them busy. Even with homeschooling, it's, you have to be a teacher 1 minute, cook the other, clearing up. They've just become even more so lazy than they were before. So, please come and take them away.
Well, we'll see whether we can organise a competition through Leica Radio, just because you've asked. Poonam, Ball, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're more than welcome, Keith.
Leica Radio.
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
That's it for this week. My thanks to special guests KALPESH and SHAILESH Solanki, and also to Poonam Ball for her smoothie, and to Dhruv Jogia for his advice about our feet. Thanks to the excellent Leica 1458 team, Sunil, our station manager, producers Lucas and Rupi. Please stay tuned for B. Hirani and Bollywood Hits, which follows the news. A quick hello to Paul Dean, one of our listeners in North London, and birthday greetings this week to Barty from Leicester, Danute and Farrett from North London. Here is a special message to husbands who allow their wives to cut their hair during lockdown. I asked my wife Maria to do this, and she started by watching YouTube videos on how to trim your poodle. She then tried her skills out on me. There is now a large square cut out at the back of my head, about the size of Luxembourg. It's a good job. I'm under doctor's orders to stay at home. But it was her birthday on Friday this week, so happy birthday, Maria. Born in Kisumu, Kenya, and with the others whose birthday it was this week, the dedication of the Song of the Week goes to them. Enjoy the bank holiday weekend. Spend it with Leica 1458. This has been Keith Vaz signing off with Baby Doll.
Leica.
On 1458 in London.
On your mobile.
And on DAB Digital Radio.
This is Leica Radio.